protected in.
Oh, Kissay! Yes, Queen! We're back. LCO driven by Menulog. Game 3 coming up right here, right now.
It's just so unexpected.
What do you mean?
Like, it's just out of nowhere, you hit 11.
Expect the unexpected. Look who you're next to.
It's like
you're next to
3,
us.
it's like 2.
Kitty is the most
1.
unexpected person you've ever met. She comes up with some crazy stuff.
That's that guy. This guy is the unexpected guy.
I don't know what
He
you're
was
talking
rubbing his hand like, oh, it's just his usual intro, and then he's like, hello, everybody! I was like,
Could have been. I thought you'd all appreciate it. It sounded
I
like
did.
you did.
That's
So
good.
I'm just
I did.
bringing that one up.
I always
Now,
appreciate
I'm
it.
going to bring up Direwolves. Let's have a quick chat about them before we jump on into this third match. Now, I'm seeing Danteh there in the ADC role again. We really enjoyed Poltron there. These couple of changes coming into Direwolves to split 2. Rusty, have you been impressed?
I think we've seen a lot of positives from this squad already 1 week in. I do think that we look forward to seeing even more development from this squad. I know that one consistent concern I've had with a lot of teams in the LCO is switching so many roster members between splits isn't showing like the development you want to see in terms of progression from the teams. But this has been starting on the right foot with the best foot forwards, right? We've seen good movements from Direwolves, I would say solid macro in general. We're still seeing what I think is going to be a crutch on red side. So my concern with Direwolves is the second they're forced to be blue side, they don't get counterpick for top lane, do they just die? Right? Like I want to see something more from them when they're on blue, other than relying on like a hectic counterpick for top.
Okay. Now, Skimmy, what's your take on this one? Are we enjoying what Direwolves have showed us enough? And we've seen Kanga looking pretty good last week, and I believe they got a couple of changes as well. So, Direwolves, what are you giving them like a chance today? Do you think it's like a 50-50 here, or do you think they've got the edge?
I think it actually could be as close as what we just saw as the predictions for the their fan vote of that last game as well, right? I think PGG versus Order was like 51-49. It was insanely close. I thought it was about a 60-40 ratio. It kind of delivered on that front as well, basically, from what we saw in the game, multiple occasions. These were our 2 games to look out for on the day. I think, yeah, certainly Direwolves could maybe just slightly pinch it at 55.
Okay, well, let's have a look at this Kanga roster. There is a few names that are different here today. Now, you want to take me through them, Kitty? Because we have not seen this support here before.
This is Tieng Sii coming in for his first game in the LCO, where he has reached Challenger in solo queue, and I think he has quite a diverse champion pool as well, joining Leemas as the ADC, and we have Foreigner coming back onto the roster for Kanga. Well, not coming back, introduced onto the roster for Kanga.
Back for Split 2, yeah,
Back
on
for
Gravitas
Split
and
2.
Split 1, made his debut then, so now he's on this roster, and this would be like another argument on another a case of what we saw, I guess you'd say, Rusty, from Mammoth as well. Like, this is what their roster's meant to look like.
I would say this is almost a case of good O2, right? You've got someone who was in Gravitas, or like a Gravitas Mammoth type roster, goes into a better team, shows that he could perhaps have the potential to make something of himself, to really strut his stuff, and then, you know, if you do well, maybe you get an order call up next time, right? You kind of like, in terms of current standings, run up that ladder. I think this is a great opportunity for Foreigner. I think he should be very excited to be playing with this squad to try and strut his stuff, and he's definitely the person that I'm going to be looking at.
Okay, so you think he'll be the focus for Kanga? You think that sort of top area is a little bit scary with him and Liv maybe able to combine?
I mean, he's my focus. I don't think it is for Kanga. Yeah, I think as far as Kanga are concerned, he should slot right in to be more of like a facilitator for the solo laners, because I think that is necessary if they want to succeed.
Yeah, and it's also like a really good sort of form check for both these teams, because these two could definitely be doing a lot of the fighting for that 5th position, going deeper into the split, trying to make it into playoffs. And, you know, I would put these two teams as the heavy contenders, right?
I think Kanga with this new lineup can potentially give us something that will shake up the ladder, where Dials, obviously they have new players. I think it's 4 new players joining the roster, so it's not guaranteed that they will be the 5th spot for playoffs this split. So it's just, we don't know.
Yeah, we certainly don't know, but I do know that we have an interview ready. One of your best friends, I think he plays Teemo or something, doesn't he?
Oh, is that the Teemo player of the Rift? Zorenous coming in for our interview tonight. Hello, Zorenous. How have you been?
Hello, good, thank you. How are you?
Well, I've been good, but I need to know something. Why did you pick Teemo into a Gwen matchup?
Well, you know, I love Teemo. He's very cute, so I thought it was time to pull it out on the big stage.
That's it.
That was it. Oh, beautiful.
That's
now
the
look,
secret behind being good at League of Legends is pick cute champions.
it looked like a nice little counter pick in that line, in the top lane there. Anyway, now I've got a question I've been asking, you know, all the cast here, all the crew as well, just to see, you know, their take on it. Going full National Geographic, all right. So if a kangaroo and a wolf decided to, you know, have a fight, you know, they were thrown in a ring together, maybe a rift of sorts. Tell me your take on this, and I know you're probably going to say wolves for maybe biased reasons, but why do you think it would beat the kangaroo?
Well, you see, if you chop off, bite the kangaroo's legs, what's the kangaroo going to do? How's it going to support itself?
Its tail.
And then you can finally eat it up.
That's true. It does have a big tail for support. Rusty's coming in with the real facts. Kitty, do you have another question?
Well, talking about wolves, you guys you guys had a really good performance with Poltron and Siuman coming onto the roster. So how's the team dynamic changed now that your coach has altered into the player position?
I think it is a bit different, but it is, I think, something that the team kind of needed in terms of him coming in more of a leadership role. So now he can, you know, show his philosophy while being in the game instead of just out of the game.
Yeah, beautiful. I was wondering about that one last week as well. Anyway, Zorenous will let you go. Good luck in the top lane. We'll see if you pick Teemo again in just a few moments.
Thank you.
I reckon that's probably not going to happen, but I'm glad that it did when it did. Nice and early in the split, Rusty.
I don't know if my mic's on. Hang on. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. We're live.
I just had a moment. I was sipping tea. I was like, oh, I don't think I turned that on. We're back.
Well, you said some words before, so
Yeah, I did.
I
did.
you might,
But I also, we're right here.
Yep.
And this is that adaptation to in-person settings that got me there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, let's have a look at the fan vote. You guys get your Twitch points in. It's going to be up where, Rusty? Yeah.
It's easy for me now. We got it the first time, right?
Yeah,
like here.
Yeah, about there somewhere. Just like press a button, pick which team's going to win, put your Twitch points on it. And this is a good one to maybe win a whole bunch of Twitch points as well. Probably going to be nice and close like that last game. So make sure you get those Twitch points in. And of course, we've got to breeze through our predictions too. So let's see if there's finally a split between us. There is.
There is.
Okay, so I've gone for the Ruse based off that National Geographic conversation before, because I think, look, Ruse, have you seen her bloody...
Because of your leg.
What? They can't see my...
What did you tell me before when we started today? You said, I've got to do leg day now because I can see my legs on cam.
Hey, don't leak my broadcast strategy to everyone out there.
Such a good one-liner. It got me.
It's true. Anyway, so I've gone for the Ruse, the Kangas, just because I think that this is my time to pull into the lead. I think it's a very, very, close game here. Rusty, tell me why you think Direwolves are going to take the cake.
I actually think, just for your case first, that what we saw from Mammoth was the full roster. We saw a different Mammoth. We might get the same thing here, right? It's the first time that we're seeing Kanga with like maybe intended full roster. Maybe this is the team they've been practicing with, and this is like the peak performance we'll get from them, which could cause that upset, and your prediction might be right. I think that my logic is very similar for a lot of these predictions so far. I think there is a clear favorite, and I think it'd be off to go against the favorite. In my mind, Direwolves are expected to be favorites. I don't know who had side select. I think if Direwolves have selected red, then it's kind of just wrap it up. Put a bow on it.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll see how that one goes. Champ Select's not quite ready, Kitty. So do you want to tell me why Direwolves... No, I'm just lying. Champ Select's ready. I'm so sorry. But look, here's a piece of gum. Do you want that one? I'm going to grab one of these ones, and you guys can just take us into game. All right, I'm gonna chew this.
All right. ASMR. Into this we go. To really see, will we be putting a bow on it?
It'll test if they can mute their microphones or if we just hear chewing the entire time.
That could have been an interesting consideration.
We'll find out,
there is the bow. Plant it there. It's looking nice. Direwolves on red side.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah, Direwolves are going to be red side against Kanga. So yeah, that is my reasoning is Zorenous getting counter pick is like the primary function what we've seen of Direwolves so far. So I don't think that's too surprising that I would be favoring them if they were on that side of the map. Let's quickly look at the bans so far, because I think we've seen Gangplank available a lot of the games today. Talia is going to be banned instead, where we saw that picked in the second game. What else is up this time around? It feels like Gwen everything, actually.
Really?
Like, it really feels like besides the Senna Talia, we've just got target bans.
We do, and those target bans are really targeted towards direwolves in particular of the Akali and the Kindred, right, which have caused terrors. You'd almost say those are their mains in their positions for mid and jungle. So certainly an argument to be made that those are great bans into a team.
That's weird, though. I feel like the Gwen makes a lot of sense as like a fighting champion. I think we've seen Gwen permanently banned in most regions unless there's a Jax player. I think that's the one exception to the rule, is if you can play Jax or, you know, some kind of equivalent dueling champion where you're confident taking the 1v1, that's really the only time that we've seen the Gwen left up. And I think Gwen has like a 50% win rate, right? Because it is a skill matchup when it is picked. So very curious to see what Kanga choose to do here. Of course, we mentioned the Senna being banned. Karma gone. I do think that actually increases the Kog Lulu stocks. Especially if you're going to lock in Jhin, which was my gripe and what I reacted to. Blind Jhin is, I'm just going to say, weird.
It is, but it does seem like a bit of a Danteh comfort, right? They've played it with the Karma. This time it's direwolves that have actually banned the Karma away, so Bulldawg will have to dig deep and find something else to try and make Danteh find comfort in the bot lane. They have been having a fair degree of success, but it is a very early reveal, which Kanga are going to answer back quite adeptly with.
Just trying to think in my mind, what do you actually pick here that makes this bot lane winning ever? And I can't think of something that does that, right? I think your Jhin is just holding an L with Bulldawg roaming. Like, that's like, but roaming into a Kog Lulu, you're just going to get dove 1v2. They will dive you from full health. So there's a lot on the line here for draft stakes, I feel like, for direwolves with that in mind. Just because they've banned the Karma, picked the Jhin. Like, maybe you go Yuumi. Maybe.
Why not? I mean, you've locked yourself in a Nocturne, right? Another game of this champion being played now here in the LCO, which, when set up right, certainly can put on an absolute clinic to really get your team across that finishing line. And it's going to start to beg the question, right? What are we looking to try and target away in this next rotation of bans? Because the GP's been up and available again. A big priority on these bot lanes, no doubt. So GP's banned this time in the second rotation. But for Kanga, surely you're just thinking, what supports will really, you know, deter what Bulldawg's trying to do, to your point?
Which I don't even think you need to ban the Nautilus, if I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what Jhin Nautilus actually does into a Kog Lulu if you play it well, right? You have Polymorph on Jhin, you have Exhaust in that matchup. You're probably just winning.
Is it more for the roaming? Surely.
I feel like, yeah, like, it probably is. I know Bulldawg is comfortable on Rakan. I'm sure he can play most support champions. Thresh is one of his best. We've seen maybe one Thresh, though, this split, so it's unlikely that that's what we'll see. Very curious as to what they go for here for direwolves, and if they're going to ban the Nautilus, do they double down on support bans? What would it even be?
Yeah, they're going to go and ban away to Vladimir. That was to be answered back by direwolves with a Veigar ban as well. So these insanely good mid lane scalers has been taken away. Bard!
That's literally, I was thinking, like, as a pick, that makes sense. As a ban, that would have been an odd ban, because you don't look at any champion direwolves lock in and think, I'm worried. But Bard, to me, is a clear sign of whatever is picked top, Zorenous is winning this matchup. And it's like, red side Zorenous isn't getting a counter pick, but what he is getting is 5 people to support him.
It certainly is. You lock and place multiple people, you turn the lights out, and suddenly everybody falls on down. A second game now here for Fighto on that Azir. The last one, well, he missed a few ultimates, quite honestly, but it looked incredibly strong. So I don't deter this pick at all. I'm really keen to see him on it again.
The option belongs with Lived here on what he would like to play. There's a world that it is a Wukong top lane.
Sure.
Just because Wukong has the ability to stay inside the Mist Shroud, right? And continue to put down some solid damage. Be very slippery to hit as well. For all of the snips that you start to see from Zorenous. But the Graves locked in. I wish that gave me the clarity that I needed. I'm going to say presumably is jungle Graves. I don't think we've seen many top Graves lately.
No, but this has been a Lived pocket pick as well.
Yeah.
Right? He spammed a lot of Graves top, even running Exhaust with it. So really it is still a flex, which is going to keep direwolves guessing. They're going to run down the clock and figure out what is our mid lane option. For Siuman, he's decided, pick potential, Ahri, let's go again.
I think I would like the Lissandra more. Ahri is less committal in a sense. It's definitely much more comfortable for Siuman, so this makes sense that that's where they would go towards. But if I'm playing into the Kog Maw composition with an Azir to protect, Lissandra can stay, has actual staying power. Where I feel like the Ahri is going to be skirting in and out, relying on the resets coming through from the rest of the team. But in general, direwolves, their composition's very pick heavy. It's going to be a Nocturne ultimate with a Bard ultimate as well, finding their angles. To me, it is entirely about Zorenous. This composition, if you get Siuman ahead, Poltron ahead, sure, but it's all about Zorenous making the scaling damage come into effect for them as it progresses, where Kanga is just front to back, just slam them. More items they get, the happier they're going to be.
Yeah.
So much damage in their composition. A self-sufficient top laner. They're pretty happy as long as they scale.
And a Lulu that can literally find value buffing up anybody on her team, right? They all have some form of fashion of attack speed, buffs to utilize. And ultimately, it is going to fall down to what was that 50-50? Who would it be? Well, we know Liv loves the Graves. He's going to play at top lane, despite us seeing it so much now in the jungle. And the same here for Foreigner. You know, he's like, well, the Wukong, it could have been played top. We have seen Liv do it in the past. But ever since that massive, massive buff, and especially since it had that big resurgence at MSI, that would be the champ to try and reintegrate himself into a new split of LCO with.
Very different, I think, styles as well across the board here, right? So I'm super interested to see how this does play out. A lot of pressure does go on to Foreigner. Has to find some success early. The team very reliant around him doing so. Incredible scaling versus incredible pick from the side of the Direwolves. Early game belongs to them. It is their early game to lose, and if they succeed, they can scale up into this game quite easily. So it is a battle on two different fronts here. I'm personally super excited to see Bulldawg on Bard. I know we didn't talk about it too much when it was locked in.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it plenty, believe me. I've got a tattoo for
we've got
a
a
reason.
whole game.
We're banking them.
We certainly are. But I suppose whilst we're talking about the support, right, great to see Tieng Sii in the action because he spent the entirety of the first split as a sub 4-piece, working in the wings, looking to try and help out in whatever fashion was available for him. Now given a chance for a starting position, who wouldn't take up the opportunity, right? So great to see him have a chance to make a name for himself on his debut.
I've seen him playing a bunch of different champions as well, primarily in solo queue, of course, but from what I've seen, he's a solid communicator. Did play a whole lot of Nautilus when I was watching him play, but in general seems to be able to play everything.
Yeah.
And this is one of the first times I think we've seen Leemas going for the hyper carry Kog Maw style and a composition that is very reflective around him being all of the, not all of the damage outright, but like positionally, he should be dealing the most of it. The Azir can 1v9, can carry, but should just be standing in front of the Kog Maw while he just spits and delivers.
So here's what Kog's built to do, and it'll be a big ask if he can find himself in a fashion to deliver just that. As we load into the Rift for the third game of the night, a one that should certainly... We need a better name than calling it the Battle for Fifth. Surely we can come up with something. Maybe Twitch chat can help us out as well. As we ponder that thought, though, we get to join our old mate in Valexis from the side of Direwolves. Mate, welcome back for another week of action. Another chance for you to feel good about yourselves. Before I jump into my main question, I have to ask, you know, one-on-one, how hurt are you that it's not that 2-0? It was so close.
It was pretty rough. Like the lost the piece, is that what you're referencing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, look, it was pretty rough. But like, we look back at the game and we had them by the balls, but we just didn't squeeze hard enough. I guess unlucky.
I love that analogy. I'm right there with you. Well, I'll jump in from that point into the next one, which is you're playing this really exciting brand of league, right? Where you've been quite, you know, how do I say, explosive with a lot of these picks, right? Not afraid to try and showcase that it doesn't have to all be about the meta. That's been exciting to watch. But, you know, how would you rate the meta as a whole? We heard already from some of these teams that they feel like it's benefiting them. Would you say that's the same for you guys?
Like, I don't think the meta is necessarily like good or bad. I just think it's like very interesting because I swear to God, you can play just about anything. It just comes down to execution. Like, I think Penthenet showed it last game. Like, they definitely were playing into Kog Maw Lulu, which is in a sense like the hot flavor of the month meta pick, but Lucian Nami that has played proactively, they played well, they team fought well, and they just smashed it. So, like, you know, well done to them. But yeah, I just swear to God, you can just play anything. Maybe even teammates up, who knows?
Why not? I mean, we've already seen it from you, so let's see it again, perhaps. Who knows? I have to ask on a final note, though, what a fascination with Jhin. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of these hyperscaling champions or those really insanely strong early game champions, but this is much more about, you know, I want to sit back and be a participant elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Jhin offers like great range for Nocturne to potentially dive. There's a lot of pick potential with Jhin as well. He has his W, he has ult, you have Bard as well. You got a mobile carry on Kog Maw. So there's a lot of tools that we have to potentially pick the like inexperienced players that Kanga have brought forward.
Yeah, find those moments and strike whilst the iron is hot. Well, Valexis, pleasure as always, mate, and I wish you boys the best of luck in this game tonight.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Always good to hear from him, Skimmy. It seems the Direwolves coach is always very well spoken.
Yep.
Some of them have become players, of course, so they won't speak as much, but Valexis' turn to talk.
In-game, of course.
Yeah, of course they'll be talking in-game. We can't hear them. Not too much to report on so far from the game itself. It has been pretty relaxed. I feel like everything going almost as expected in terms of how priorities go in lanes. Kog Maw Lulu actually always has priority level 1. I would say most matchups you can force it if they fight you. Because Lulu is... Level 1 is a bully enchanter. Kog Maw level 1 can just press W and will go even at the very least in most of those skirmishes. So as a result of that, they're very powerful. Foreigner just farming through all of his camps, clearing basically from top to bottom. A very similar thing here from Poltron on this Nocturne, which is pretty standard. One point as well is that Foreigner can gank prior to 6 pretty happily. Nocturne doesn't want to unless he has to. So overall, we're just kind of hanging out. Graves will keep permanent priority. Kog Maw Lulu should have permanent priority. There's definitely worlds where Foreigner gets aggressive into the enemy jungle to steal away some camps as a result of that, but Zorenous actually does have Ignite.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big factor for top.
We're just here low mana gaming, really, aren't we? We're just praying that we can get that next amount, that next threshold to land that skill shot, which could find ourselves that first blood up here in the top lane. Zorenous passively stacked up and ready to go for those exchange and those trades, but it's not gonna continue much more.
So Jhin in this bottom lane as well, just as a duo, has incredible pick potential like this. As you see, of course, a Q that slows. Bulldawg.
He's in trouble. Oh, flash away is dig not enough. It's very low. Has he got a potion ticking? I believe he does. It was not enough. That is the first block. Danteh answer back the deadly flourish. How do you do? It's a 1-for-1 now. Top lane. Poltron popping his head in and thinking, let's just try and make some cross-map action happen.
Danteh also does still have flash right now with the ability for lethal on Leemas if he's not careful. Leemas really wants to crash this wave in, but a single Q or an auto attack into a W, like
close.
that could find yourself with potential lethal. Note that Danteh has boots, not a long sword, so he does have less damage. And there's always a world where a Jhin miscalculates what they think is a lethal threshold just because of the starting items. But he has the movement speed to close the distance. Nevertheless, they'll get their reset off. I mean, aggressive from Tieng Sii as well as Leemas, right? Just talking about the pick potential of a Bard and a Jhin, you saw what can happen. It doesn't need to be a Bard stun on a wall or off a minion. That is the advantage of that combo. The slow is enough for a Jhin W to hit, and then you can follow through with maximum damage. But if you overstep, you actually just cop it straight to the head. Bulldawg gets punished very quickly.
Certainly do. But he held the urge, as all Jhin players are very keen, I'm sure, with that fourth and final shot. The flash forward guaranteed the kill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Too early to make that one happen just yet. So a 1-for-1. All eyes to the bot lane to start things off with, as this will be actually Leemas' first time playing the Kanga. Oh, the Kanga. He won't be playing a kangaroo, literally. Playing the Kog Maw in the competitive landscape. So excited to see how he can perform on this one when the resources really are all targeted towards you being the star of the show. If that's not to be the case, no doubt this Azir can certainly pop off in fashion as well. And -1.
Sag. Just not. It's not even just -1. It's minus like 65 gold. They'll get themselves the Drake. They were rushing, of course, through the cannon. Of course, if you've got Direwolves here in response, this is very difficult to want to contest this, but a magical journey means you should never really be at risk of dying.
Trying to force it out. Oh, that's a great
Huge.
trap. That's a beautiful trap. It just splits apart the bot lane of Kanga, and then they just run them down. And then it's the 1-2 punch you'd just love to see. That is the smallest magical journey that I have ever seen.
It's not that magical. Bulldawg might want to take some tips. Here's some Bard 101 for you.
Is that a smart cast one? It
I
looks
have
like
smart cast with indicators on alt cast because you don't need to alt cast the portal. And then you can always confirm the portal. Smart cast for quicker ones when you need to. You didn't need to there.
It's almost like disrespectful to the passive of the Kog Maw, right? Like, we don't even need to dodge this.
Yeah.
We can just pop through this and kind of laugh at you, but ultimately, it's a great little skirmish, you know? Kanga get the dragon, but they get 2.
Yeah, it's huge. And I mean, the first skirmish we saw bottom was actually a kill going towards Tieng Sii on the Lulu. This time around, Danteh also got the kill in that trade. He's going to get a second one in the follow-up trade that happens at Drake. Those summoners being missing, the opportunities did exist for Direwolves. And nicely played from them overall, right, to make sure they had the numbers and they got there, mostly as a result of Siuman, more than anything else.
And back to top lane we go. And this has always been such an interesting topic for me, right? When we talk about Lev playing the Graves, because he's had his moments of playing the traditional TP version top lane. He's had his version playing with the Hole Breaker, trying to split push as a Graves. He's had his versions as an Exhaust. Just to say, if I'm going to get ganked, I'm going to win this 1v1 no matter what happens. So this is nothing new for him, but you did put a big emphasis, I suppose, right, on this Gwen as being the star of the show that could certainly really take over.
Certainly could, and of course having the Ignite is big for your matchup. It's not something that the Graves replied with. Oftentimes you will see, like, instead of Flash Teleport for Lived, it could be an Exhaust, it could be a Ghost, right? It could be an Ignite for yourself if you want to actually go even in those trades. Especially because you are a champion with the dash. Bulldawg and Danteh walking mid. Bulldawg not level 6, however. Probably just here to leech some experience as best he can, and Herald's up.
Oh, what a flash. What a great flash. Is that enough of a bait to ensure that Foreigner can rock up? On vision, bear in mind. Flash forward, hit the Cyclone, knock you up, hit the second charge, and say, Zorenous, you've just run out of options.
Yeah, presented him with nothing. Of course, the rest of Direwolves are here. The reinforcements are here. The Rift Herald is already gone, so the result is just going to be a kill in trade for the Rift Herald. And some plates taken in bottom lane. I think Kanga are pretty happy with this trade overall. If you can get a second plate here from Leemas, he's pushing as fast as he possibly can. And it was the full commit from the rest of Direwolves, right? They didn't leave Danteh down here to farm. They brought him up to the play on vision.
Yeah.
So he does suffer from that a little bit. And that lead he has and the shutdown he has may just start to dissipate a little bit more with the bonus that the Kog Maw gets. We'll see this again. The Ignite was used almost instantly. Zorenous hits all 3 portions of the ultimate, but the flash was nicely used by Liv, like you highlighted. No time to mess around. Foreigner knows they're nearby mid.
Oh, straight to mid lane. What a paranoia, but what a bit of shuffle back. So if you're going to make that play, then you are going to be punished for it. In comes Foreigner and bonks him to the head for 2 ganks and 2 kills.
You don't spell shield the Azir ultimate, you suffer the consequences. Flash used trade, very nicely done. In fact, very favorable for Kanga overall. As Tieng Sii is not going to allow that control ward to go silently into the night. He will contest that one. It's actually a challenge for that now in League, to stop someone taking a control ward that you own. The +1.
Wouldn't know about it, mate. Only ARAM challenges for me.
Yeah, you don't ward. There's no wards in ARAMs.
No, it certainly aren't.
Big Wukong, though.
It is,
That's
yeah.
a pretty important takeaway here. Very early into this one.
What a way to sort of answer yourself back, right? On a brand new roster and say, look, comfort champion for me. One that is very much in the meta. Certainly a chance for me to easily engage as well. But it's not going to be the same woes that, you know, Lisa had when he went into a bunch of range champions like when they went up against Direwolves.
All right, now I'm no Bard player, but if I was, I would be pushing this wave, just walking mid off cooldown every wave. Because at this point, you've got the flash from Fighto and Foreigner and Liv. So if you can play towards the top side of the map, a level 6 Bard can work really nicely with the rest of your squad. Requirements for that is an ultimate on Ahri and Nocturne. So maybe 30 seconds, and then you start to get active around the map. Bulldawg, of course, does love a good roam.
Those 2 ults that you do highlight for those individuals are going to be synchronized and ready at the same time. The roam starts to begin as he looks for those meeps to empower himself and become the menace that is a Bard on the Rift. Foreigner is going to poke his head into the top lane now, look to try and clear it some vision and make sure that if there is a freeze, it will be broken.
There's really nothing that's going to happen down here. Foreigner was spotted, so he's just going to make sure the wave gets crashed, I believe, as well. Really just has shown, so continues to show. Drake is the play. So they want to push this one as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Leemas is very lucky. There's some honey fruit there to actually have some mana back. Still relevant for this objective, and it doesn't look like anything's going to happen. They're actually going to make a play to the top side of the map.
Cross-map play, Spell Shield comes out, I believe it is completely negated. Graves' ult, they're going to go for it. He's gone for the quick draw, he's got the mitigation, but can he run away? Snip, snip, and you're gone. They find that kill topside, but the price is they've lost 2 Drakes in a row.
Yeah, they've lost the second Drake. Now the question is what Foreigner does in response, though, because note there is a Rift Herald to summon, so they'll get all of the plates here. Teleport has to be used. Rift Herald's still going to be summoned regardless. Well, it's not going to be the most efficient transaction here from Direwolves, but they'll take it.
It certainly will. It is gold nonetheless. And it has baited out that TP, and it has forced Fighto to overextend and look for that kill on Zorenous. He doesn't have Ghost, he does not have Flash, he's got the immunity frames, but Fighto's chasing. And Poltron's trying to deter the soldier, the summon Ahri. That was enough. And now we go down to bot lane. A tempered fade onto 2. Siuman with the Spirit Rush active with the orb there. And the kills being collected. The charm, the reset. And once again, mid and bot getting the kills.
And pick after pick starts to build up. Danteh amasses himself at 3-0-2 scoreline. Poltron.
He's got no mana. He's been altered away. And now Foreigner rocks up and says, why are you doing that?
That was Listen, that play, if you watch it back from Poltron's perspective, was very smart, but at the same time, too much.
Yeah.
He tried to pretend like they didn't have a ward in the bush. He actually walked past it like he was posturing to push the next wave before resetting, and then turns 90-degree angle, throws the Q. But has no mana, so that's why it's not a good play. And does actually suffer quite largely that one from Foreigner, who was protecting his laners, which is what you want to see from the jungle of Kanga.
You certainly do. You certainly do, and you are feeling really good about your mid game now with a very strong Wukong and an Azir that has found success not only individually in lane, but when he's gone for those roams. Sure, it has been lived, it's had to suffer the consequences, but very early Leandries, as well as that Divine Sunder, and their skirmishing potential is really formidable.
And I mean, Zorenous, if he's meant to be a carry, is middle of the pack in gold, as is Leemas, right? So there's two clear points that could be scaling threats that are currently not weaknesses, but not strengths. They simply coast, they exist. Danteh is large, Siuman is large. He's been quietly achieving the entire time as well. And we're getting cross maps from Fighto. It's not exactly like a mid-gap has occurred in this game by any means. They're just both playing away from one another towards the opposing side lanes. Pretty standard affair in a very nice way.
And that moment where you thought maybe they would strike, maybe the Bard would start to roam, it has passed. They found an opportunity in the bot lane instead, but certainly not one to be linked up with when it came to try and force a fight. When the paranoia came out here from that Nocturne, Flash is now up and available for Fighto again.
And saying that, they are grouped now. And Herald number 2 is about to be up and available. Direwolves on the top side of the map, looking to make the play presumably onto these two. Even if it's just a flash force, it's still a positive. Very easy to bait because they can play from fog at long distances, right? Not global comp with a Bard and a Nocturne, but large enough that you can't just place lane wards to be safe. So Leemas and Tieng Sii are never feeling comfortable, ever.
Very defensive warding from them. No eyes in the river, but certainly in their quadrant of the map to farm at the turret. They are feeling good, protected by the shielding of the Wukong walking up that side of the map as well. It is an interesting discussion, right? Because I feel like if we did have the Lissandra, you're essentially looking at a revised version of the Chiefs comp, right? When it was this, you turn the lights out, guarantee one person falls on down, whereas this is very, as you've said and as you've seen, it's like a charm. Are we getting a reset? Are we still going for this? Who knows?
Less committal, right? But still very similar in its approach. It's not going to be full-on team fight, where the Lissandra can lock someone down for sure through a cleanse. It's much more hit the charm, force the cleanse, then hit something else. We're going to hit a Bard ultimate, force a flash, and then you look for the play. You don't have to go all in because you have distance on how you approach it.
Zorenous looking for a cheeky all in right now as he hits both sacks off that needlework. Third and final. Not going to go anywhere, but Liv's life does not get much easier than that. But Foreigner,
I don't think he can.
Maybe this time a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's a bit much, but like Zorenous is winning the 1v1 while his team is also still getting the objectives, right? So all things considered, you can't fault it. Foreigner's trying. He just isn't at a place where a fight's going to happen. They're just playing around him. They're playing very quickly as well, I will say, Direwolves, with these objectives. Moving their bottom lane around, very smart as well, of course, to ensure that it is a lot easier to have vision control for it. The question is where they go now, right? Because you have Herald to summon. You could break top outer. You could break mid outer potentially with a good push if you catch Kanga unaware. Right now, because Gwen is actually deploying to top lane while the rest of the team is top side, it has to be the top outer that's just free. And maybe mid.
Still plenty of time for them to utilize this Herald under no rush whatsoever. So if they can get a sneaky push top side to get that turret, then why not? Liv going to try and answer back whilst he gets a small chance to do so as well. Kanga in a position to really rush home that early soul point by being on this one nice and early.
So what I would do here if I was Direwolves is not use the Herald summon for the top lane outer turret. You could do what he's about to do now, which is actually potentially summon it for the inner. Get a full charge off on the inner turret because it's worth so much more gold. Yep. Alternatively, they could have summoned it for mid, played hyper aggressively through blue side quadrant vision control to break the mid lane outer turret. This is a conscious choice, Skimmy, where I think they want more money instead of more map control. But there's definitely arguments with a pick composition to open the map up further instead.
And ultimately it's a 2-for-1 trade in terms of turrets from what Liv achieved bot side, but the 2-for-2 equivalent would be them picking up that next dragon, right, working themselves towards that later realized point of 5 minutes of power at 22 minutes in.
Because the reason that I say mid as well is mid lane is effectively like the super highway of League of Legends. So by not going for this mid lane outer turret, you've made it much more difficult to set up for the neutral objectives. Because they have a safe space to work from to actually clear to the objective. Something that I think could have been okay from them, but nevertheless, like you mentioned, Drake's going to be traded. It is in essence just going to be gold for objective. We find ourselves in a position with another Cloud Soul today.
Yep.
But 3 minutes on the clock until Kanga have something they can definitely look forward to. Kog Maw wouldn't be mad about having a Cloud Soul. Press that R, very non-committal, and just sprint at someone.
Why not? Especially
nice.
if you get a Crucible later on for the Lulu as well. We saw exactly what that did when Peace played it. You've got a cleanse, you bet at the charm, the fight's won, you got a Crucible, there's the insurance policy, and the Kog Maw really can rain fire from a million miles away, really sprinting at you.
Is it going to be a Shirelia's is the question, right? Because you are really about movement speed in Kanga's composition, enabling both Liv to close distance, Foreigner to close distance, as well as Leemas to put down damage. Could be the way to go. Oh, hello.
Would feel a bit very grief to not go the Shirelia's on this occasion. As Bulldawg will be spotted, but not caught out, not taken down. Not really worse for wear. Maybe a different story up topside, however. As Foreigner has not revealed himself. Poltron's working his way topside. He wants to trim out this cannon first of all. Misses the charm. Fighto looking to really answer back strongly. And a lot of members in the area, but just shielding.
It's the tiniest sidestep while slowed from the Everfrost, and then Fighto ends up going for a full advantageous trade there. Half health him and some change. Potion going to be used to make sure that he stays at around half, but that is a dive angle, if ever I've seen one in terms of health values.
They're looking for it. There is the Tempered Fate. Oh, he's disengaged away out of the chains of this Nocturne. The charm connects onto the Wukong, and he has been shut down by the Bard. There's the Everfrost, but the knockback away. No, Siuman! He's just absolutely been broken. It's a double kill. Unreal. Fighto in a losing situation takes 2 to the grave with him.
Even as a stopwatch, my man just stands and delivers the damage. Danteh trying his best in a 1v2 to try and stop this turret from going down. Might be able to do so, but will suffer a cannon as a response. Huge from the mid laner of Kanga. Just showing exactly where we're at. That was a fight with just the Azir and the Wukong, accidentally baiting his jungler to die. It's a result of a Nocturne ultimate, but still comes up clutch.
Huge proficiency in that exchange, though, to make sure that he found full effect to answer back in that fashion where it really was looking like a losing trade. Let's watch it one more time.
Legitimately just because of the Nocturne darkness. Sees an opportunity, perhaps doesn't even recognize how many people Foreigner is going into, just trying to save his mid laner. Lived in trouble.
No, we can't see it. It was too good to be seen. Let's run back to live and let's see what happens to this Graves, who won't get stunned against the wall there. And can now just quick draw across the wall, hit the Gromp once, hit it twice, try and get some lifesteal back with the shield bow, but the shield's already been popped and his life has been consumed.
Chooses not to use the flash there, I believe would have just had it up and available. Mid lane is going to suffer here as well. This game is just back and forth. We have 2 clear places of strength. We have 2 clear places that had been suffering, but all things considered, Direwolf's very strong. Kanga with the scaling comp. So going even at this point to the Drake win condition that they have, or I guess win condition, it's a Cloud Soul they have in 50 seconds. And Kanga very happy with the game state.
He certainly will be. Even if they are lagging behind by 2,000 gold, they'll be feeling like that soul point could be what we need.
Magical journeys need work.
It would be the one game, wouldn't it? I guess my only concern right now is if you are looking at that bot lane position, Leemas 0-2 right now, really struggling to get the second item online for this big fight. Up against a Jhin, which is pulling ahead.
Yeah, the thing with Lulu Kog though, right, is you could be a full item behind. If you hit 3 items, you're still a Lulu Kog.
Absolutely.
It's the most terrifying part about this duo and why it's such a risk. And teams like Peace have been able to scale into team fights simply from Violet farming up nicely. Is you'll always hit that point. There is always a critical mass where a Kog Maw just wins. And you've already got Azir in front of him with a 40 CS lead in his lane 3, 1, and 2 with turret plate and turrets to boot. I think above all else, we need a pick composition from Direwolves to work here, but when Kanga are grouped, how easy is that to do is the question. Look for the Bard ultimate to kick this off as Nocturne presses R.
Zorenous on the flank, he's been spotted. Tempered Fate onto 2, they've locked in place the Tox that are after the Everfrost is there. The Shroomer Shop will knock them back with the Divide and Conquer attack. As Kanga are still looking at this Dragon, the Dragon has been held in suspension. Out comes the Curtain Call and looking for those picks. 1, 2, 3, crit chance. The final shot is there, and the Lulu is taken down. A flash away from Graves, where you going? It's not enough, and that is an ace.
A huge team fight from Direwolves, plain and simple. They execute when it matters most. They'll get themselves the Drake. They'll get the gold with it. I don't know how confident they would be to run straight to a Baron, just given how much time and health was used to secure that Drake. But we will see, because I think they have enough time on the death timers to make sure this does happen. Poltron's still pretty tanky. You can see the damage in the last team fight. Foreigner's having an absolute shocker, and it's not his fault. He's the only person on the team that's going to be standing in the front line trying to survive as best he can with no information because Poltron's turning the lights out. Very well played by Direwolves, though.
Everything they need, Bulldawg.
Having a shocker.
From the smallest magical journeys to the moments where he's standing up.
Magical journey of all time with a grey screen. We'll see the fight again. Because it starts by picking off Fighto and Foreigner, but there's a stopwatch there for Fighto, so he's not going to be immediately targeted. Foreigner just dies before he can get out of the fear. And at this point, Leemas is trying to deal damage, but Tieng Sii is out of the fight, had the self-ult. Lived is not able to stand and deal damage. It was done as the fight started, just because the execution was fantastic.
Certainly was, and it was two styles of League being clashed at, collided with. And ultimately, Direwolves finding exactly what they need with what their composition is built to do. Well, Zorenous did respawn in time to claim that Baron, so all 5 members fit and healthy, ready to look to try and utilize it to full effect and ready to have a crack at what could be a very powerful buff. They've managed to claim 4 turrets so far in this game and would love to really lay down some pressure to really deter Kanga ever leaving their base to even try and claim that soul point.
I know a certain former league owner that might be shaking in his boots at the thought of a Bard winning a game, Skimmy. One that you might be familiar with as a former housemate.
Yes, we do like the old Tim Carbon Wendell Award.
The old Wim Tendell tilted by Bard Award. We'll get that one at the end of the split. Either way, Direwolves, I think at this point as well, Baron in hand. Well and truly in the driver's seat. You don't have any massive concerns for the Cloud Soul if you have to give that one away at any point. You want to try and get as much money as possible with this Baron. And controlling one quadrant of the map is definitely the way to go. The enemy red side jungle is where they've got all of their control wards down.
Yeah.
A long-range pick composition. I think Bulldawg should just dip into Fog of War instead of standing with his team.
They're going to force the fight down bot side once again. Collateral damage, buying space. Enough time as the lights come back on for his team to be there. But they've managed to take a charm. Great charm onto the Azir. The target they're after to dash away with the wild growth. Switching the targets now is Danteh with that ultimate. But a clone and the boys are going to protect and peel.
But the health is a lot, right? Siuman actually does take a couple of auto attacks there and needs to be really careful. Kanga for just a moment had no health to potentially stop this one. Leemas 2 items done. Straight into the Gale Force, by the way. I think that's an interesting choice. I think specifically because it's a pick composition, he might have done that. Right, like you can dodge the Bard ultimate, dodge the Jhin W, the Ahri charm perhaps, but he has Cleanse, he has a Lulu. I do think that's a very curious decision over like a Kraken Slayer or something that deals damage. There's the Rift Maker, Titanic Hydra build.
Absolutely.
It could have been there as well.
It feels to me like if you're going to play this kind of variant, you're almost akin to like a Lucian army, right? You want to be really aggressive in their face with it, but I don't think this is really what they've been built to do on this occasion. Zorenous is looking for that kill. He's burned that Ignite, but not been able to find Fighto. Just too much mobility between the two of them.
This Azir has been constantly pressured now. It is just the Gwen on this side of the map, so it's going to be a disengage regardless. They're not going to be having a Nocturne come straight in, right? There's no Ahri on the flank. He was protected by Foreigner being there anyway. But still, you're seeing an exceptional amount of pressure placed onto Fighto. The stopwatch didn't become a Zhonya's, right? It just disappeared into another needlessly large rod, which is going to be the death cap. So maximizing his damage output with a greedy scaling build is at risk of being caught. No cleanse, no flash, no Mikhails to keep him alive. There is a huge target on top of the head of Fighto. And Direwolves now, all eyes set towards him, no doubt.
But surely that is the next purchase for Tieng Sii, right? It would make so much sense just based on the defensive option of the Gale Force with the lack of those Zhonyas in the mid lane for your next most fed member in this Azir.
I mean, it's true, but like it's 2,300 gold away, and I don't know if there's that much time in this game left, right? If the next team fight goes the way of Direwolves because there's no flash on Fighto to keep him alive, then that could be the game potentially, right? It could be another Baron.
Begs the question though, do they just sacrifice this next Drake, feeling that they don't need to go for that, invest all their eggs into that next Baron, and if they can get at least a net positive trade on that one, buys more time, that's what they need. Same for Zorenous, who's just being tossed around. Like an absolute bouncy castle, but he's not having fun. He's fallen on down. The rest of his team have said, we'll take this dragon, remove that from the equation. And it really is all now about this second spawning of the Baron.
There's just no need from Zorenous to be there, you know? What's he provide? His team's doing the Drake, just let it happen. Be patient. And it's just a sign of an inexperienced player being attacked there by Kanga, but very nicely done from them, full credit. They'll get the top outer, they'll crash a wave in, they're getting extra money into the pockets of Fighto. They're buying time, which is what they're after. Getting a couple of extra items on their carries is what it is all about. Leemas even being here to use his ultimate to clear waves is at risk of a Nocturne at any time, an Ahri at any time. But right now, Poltron is actually clearing top while his top laner is dead. They're not really playing for vision right now. They're about to presumably deploy after this mid-wave to Baron. Try and get all of their wards around there. You can see Bulldawg hasn't wasted a ward yet. He's only now about to move in and advance as the Nocturne should be sprinting down.
20 seconds, and the river leading into the Baron completely belongs to the Dials right now. One final reset here for Kanga. Claim as much power as they can. Is that a wit's end? It certainly is. The Rabadons is there as well. There is still no need for a stopwatch because it's already been burnt. This is as much power as Kanga can muster up in this moment.
Blue Trinket spots them straight away, so they know that the Baron's being done. It is not the fastest Baron without Siuman or Zorenous to hit that one. It seems like Direwolves, their intent is to turn and fight.
Everfrost.
Charm hits.
Charm is on. Tempered Fate is on as well. 2 members locked in place. As soon as you go out the Charm, as soon as you come out the Golden State, it's an easy kill. That is the weakness. When Fighto can't protect himself, he had no flash. He's down for 50 seconds. Do they need any more? I don't think so. It's a disengage. Back to the Baron again.
The one person that can't afford to be caught is Fighto. That is the one person that gets hit by a Charm, is immediately taken down. And that means that contesting this is nigh impossible, but Kanga, they want to try.
Oh, this is so agonizing right now. The Cosmic Binding connects them to 2. Deadly Flourish afterwards locks him down a little bit longer. Zorenous on the flank, looking to try and lock down these members. Foreigner's the target. He goes immune for a second inside that mini circle, saying, come into my circle, come into my sanctuary. I'll go golden, and now you're dead. The true passive of this Kog Maw. Can it get the kill? No, Danteh goes golden now. Look at Direwolves, all skirting on the outskirts of this fight, all so low, all going golden like they are the kings of this castle. And now a Lulu says, what can I do? Lived has gone so defensive. He's literally lifesteal. That is his middle name. He quick draws out of that Tempered Fate. The reset's there, but he's been rooted again into the Charm and into his death, surely.
It took a very long time. It means there's actually going to be a reset, so Tieng Sii should just be able to clear these wards even if he wants to, but he's just going to walk the longest possible path. Why is he not recalling? There we go. he's going to go back to base eventually. And we get to do it one more time. The Azir, the mistake that was made up for by the strength of the rest of his team. Note this is a 1-3 Kog Maw with health missing at the start of this fight. Zorenous tries to flank, but just cops the full combo from Foreigner, is stuck. Leemas still deals so much damage even though he effectively gets one hit and lived. Huge damage in this fight, is constantly auto-attacking, has double lifesteal items, Shield Bow and Bloodthirster. So survives for so long, the Raptors will make sure he's here. I've seen Lived win these. You know, there was a world. And the world disappeared because Danteh is too clean with it, but there was a world.
Given how low they were, it certainly was a world in which there's a quadra and you're thinking, especially Fighto, thank you so much, Mr. Top Laner. Let's do it all one more time. He mentioned before, maybe time's not on their side, but certainly after that last fight, that was a net positive.
Fighto has flash, right? If you want to talk about big positives into a pick composition, Fighto has flash, Leemas has flash. Their engage isn't the strongest right now with Lived, Foreigner, or missing them respectively. The Lulu could get picked extremely easily. I feel like that's where the sight should be set from Direwolves if they're tracking summoners. But the carries of the team are able to stand and deliver damage. That is what matters most. And so we find ourselves at once again another impasse where Direwolves will stand and staunch the entrances to the Baron, and Kanga have to check.
You highlight the flash for the Azir. The flash is available also for this Nocturne to make sure they can really chunk you down. Lived has just died off screen, absolutely erased by this Gwen. But the Baron is still on. It's going to be held low. They bait at the Tempered Fate. It goes dark a second again. Zorenous goes in for the fight. In jumps Poltron. The spell shoots out. He's flashed away and just dies. Leemas is just shredded for him like butter. That's a massive shot, and he's found 2. Rusty, he's doing the thing. He's gone big. He's gone huge, and he's just gale forcing into people, but that gets completely cancelled out there by the stopwatch. A second one now from his own jungler. He's still looking for it. He's still keen. Finally falls on down. Danteh takes out that kill. He flashes away. He's looking to try and get as much as he can. He's got it. And he's got the reset, and he's got the life back, and it's a beautiful double. And
you're about to see Fighto potentially show on this mid wave. He's not allowed to because the Jhin W could just come out as a stray and take him down. 8-0-8. Let's take a second to appreciate the scoreline of this Jhin right now on Danteh.
Yeah.
Absolute monster. There's an epic showdown between a Cloud Drake and an Azir, but I think at this point, you know what? I don't want to pick it, but I'm pretty sure Fighto wins. Look at the damage in the last team fight. We're really starting to see the Kog Maw come online. This was just plain and simple. I think the 13th time this game lived has been caught in a 1v1 face-checking Zorenous, who really does just embody Teemo as a player. But ultimate misses. Zorenous still on the flank. Poltron, I think, unequivocally inting to try and make that play happen. Probably just wants to flash to disengage as he goes forwards, wants to just bait the fight to exist. The polymorph from Tieng Sii was nice. The Gale Force from Leemas was without his W up. Lots of questionable things, but the composition is scaling. We are getting there.
Third time lucky is this Baron call. This time it's taken down. The second for the side of Direwolves. But two subsequent skirmishes where really insane clutch moments. One from this guy and one from the Jhin as well. And you'd think it's Kanga who got the Baron buff the way they're sieging.
Azir does place a turret down. It's very hard to protect this turret, so it's a curious one. But they're threatening bot, they're threatening mid, they're making sure a trade happens far on a very wide flank. Looking for perhaps an opportunity to fight. Lived no teleport is recalling, however, so the fight shouldn't exist. Zorenous with no teleport himself is also split pushing. So they're just going to use the Baron, they're going to push. I think Direwolves very obviously going to do what they did last Baron, which is play mid and bottom. And if that is the case, then they are hunting inhibitors.
A rare moment in which Kanga could look to strike right now as Gwen is all the way in the bot lane. No T.Va to try and answer back, waiting for that wave to crash and try and sync up here with the mid lane.
Ahri no ult here as well, just tried to make the play. That was the Gale Force used, so it comes up clutch at least this time. Ahri with no ult means it's very hard to use this Baron to its fullest. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, one of the easiest ways for them to find a pick to start things off. You just saw how shredded this Nocturne got on that last team fight. Even with a death stance, this does not matter. Stopwatch already burnt. That turret's been burned as well. Once again, Zorenous inside their base. Looking to try and go for the 1v1. The needlework comes on through. Not going to get lethal just yet. The lights are out. He still can't find it, but the backup's there. For Kanga is running into this bot lane to shield this inhibitor with their life.
And every single time the Direwolves draw Kanga somewhere, they're winning. Because their composition gets to shine, right? You bring them towards the Bard ultimate, towards the Jhin W. And you constantly threaten. Yes, Lived survives. But with no health has to walk back to base, and now the inhibitor is threatened. The mid lane turret is gone as well. And Kanga's struggling. There's no ult for Foreigner. There's no engage.
Yeah, the pressure is just overwhelming, and it's fizzled out. Two inhibitors have fallen inside Kanga's base. They put up such a great defense, but ultimately the waves were against them. It's just too much to ask for.
I mean, instead of sacrificing one inhibitor, they sacrifice two. That's what I'm kind of getting from this. They try and fight bottom instead of having a Kog Maw stand in front mid. A cleanse Kog Maw can't be engaged on, but here we are. Still, they have an inhibitor to defend. They have the comp that scales. They've got time, if nothing else, because it took so long to actually secure that Cloud Soul for themselves. The Elder is only going to be up for the first time 39 minutes into this game.
Going to break the deadlock in this one, as we are well on course to looking to try and get ourselves fully completed items. This is, I believe now, our longest game so far off this new split. Danteh sitting on that last Whisper, ready to fully complete his itemization. Stopwatch there for Leemas. Flash and cleanse for Leemas. An Elder in 2 minutes and 20.
Do you think if Kanga were peace, they win this game?
Yes.
Like, you think you look at this, you see a 6k gold deficit, and you're like, it doesn't matter, Violet's on Kog Maw.
Yep.
With 4 items.
I would.
That's how I feel. Yet in my mind, I'm thinking this is still a bit of a flip. Danteh's so big, man. How is it that someone can be so young yet so composed when he plays League of Legends? Just baffles me.
It's incredible. It really is. to be told, you're going to be our new starting bot laner.
He's going to do maths homework after this.
He's got homework. He's still at high school. It's unbelievable. So young, so composed, and just so good at League of Legends. As Direwolves now look to try and get their third and final inhibitor. They've locked in place 3 with a Tempered Fate from Bard. They're going to look to try and disengage away the Magical Journey. Don't overforce. The map pressure is in your favor. Buy time. You've locked them inside. How do they ever contest this Elder now?
They legitimately use the Bard and Nocturne ultimates to just dissuade, to threaten, right? To deny vision, to try and make the play really nicely, and they'll get themselves the inhibitors. Double supers presumably are about to start spawning. I'm not sure on the respawn time of an inhib. I think they might not be. I think we might have an inhibitor up soon. I'm actually just running. I know we've got some time. There's top inhib. Okay, on the mini-map, from what I could see, it looks grey. Tell me if I'm wrong. It does look kind of grey. There's an inhibitor up. I'm a clown.
That's okay.
I'm literally inting.
Well, 2 minutes on respawns. 2 minutes on respawns and Elder in 30 seconds, right? So the waves, as it stands, look how advanced Direwolves' positioning is.
Dude, that's how much I look at a mini-map compared to the rest of the screen. Just staring at it. I feel like, again, if you're Direwolves, as long as you have vision control first, you're in a winning situation. That's really what it comes down to. I don't think Kanga have any good tools to face check. That W also just still cops the charm. You have no real way to face check, right? There's no... Oh, it hits.
It's on Leemas. That's who you want. The flash forward, the charm, the kill! It's on the Fighto. Fighto's gone. I don't believe it. The kill's been found. Fighto's in absolute disarray. He's so upset. This is how Direwolves want to close out this game. Leemas has flashed away.
Charm.
He's already put the Gale Force. Another charm again. Foreigner has been killed in his clone form. GA is there. Respawn. And fall on down all the same again. He's flashed away, but where are you going? Danteh picks it up now. 9-0-10, having a game of his life as Direwolves look to close things out. Fast approaching 40 minutes.
I mean, you need something special to defend this one here. Zorenous is immune. They're looking for the end right now.
They really are. Leemas looking to try
Charm
and do whatever
again.
he can. The charm, I don't believe it. Siuman, eat your heart out. Absolutely smurfing when they require somebody to really play that clutch factor. He does deliver. They're going to find the kill. And before 40 minutes, Direwolves take out Kanga.
I feel like this is going to be an interesting MVP as well from Direwolves. Just thinking about it. Who actually gets the MVP in a game like this where I feel like everyone did their part incredibly well? I'm biased, so I would always say the Bard, but I actually think Siuman. The Siuman play overall was like enabling for bottom. It found the charms in every single team fight. I really think Siuman was the MVP in this game and was just so clutch for them. Which is huge as split progressions are concerned for Direwolves, right? He comes into the roster, has an immediate, massive impact.
Yeah, especially when you need somebody to really lead the line in those late game moments where it's looking a little bit sketchy. Do you want to flip it for the Elder, or do you just want to win right now?
Mate, that was a game. That was so interesting from like start to finish. Just got so close. You could see what Direwolves were trying to do, playing for that pick comp. And look, pick they did. I think it was that third, the fourth. That would have been the first attempt at the soul for Kanga. That first Bard ult that hit both the carries at the time, hit Zorenous, not Zorenous, sorry, hit Fighto and hit Foreigner,
yeah.
Both just like caught out. They were the ones that needed to do the damage in that team fight, and that was just the perfect setup. Kitty, what were your takeaways from this match? The early game, it was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Well, from this match, I can tell everyone that Fighto is quite a good Azir player, especially with the 2v3 in top lane, which is displayed on our screens right now, where he takes down 2 people. But overall, Danteh has been impressing me lately with his performance, because I believe he went 8-0-8, and for such a young player into these tough situations, people get nervous. And he didn't mess up a single time, where I was looking at Leemas and he decided to opt into the Gale Force, which I thought was kind of unusual considering the current meta. It delayed his build just a little bit instead of going for the Riftmaker, where it does give you extra lifesteal. And me and Mac were looking at that Gale Force for quite a long time.
Yep.
And I've listed down on my notes here that he activated Gale Force at 32 minutes. So
For the first time.
For the first time.
Yeah, it took a while. There were a few team fights where it might have saved him, could have done the extra bit of damage as well, which you might have been looking for to sort of change the outcome. When he did finally use it, it put him into a great position as well. But look, we can't be too critical on it. It was an interesting one. Something else that Kitty pointed out as well is, you know, big TS, that sup coming in for Kanga down in that bot lane.
You don't want to say his name, do you?
No, it's Tieng Sii. But I just
Okay.
want to call him Big TS. That's all I'm saying.
It's a play-by-play life.
It's play-by-play. We're just going to give him an extra nickname. He's new. You know, he's got to be here. And look, speaking of here, before I touch on that other point, have a look at that goal difference. It was just a slow approach. There was that swing back around the 35-minute mark. But then after that one team fight, Direwolves just started to push in, just got all that gold going their way, siege the base, and there might have been like one attempt left, but it didn't work out for Kanga today. However, it's good signs from them. I really enjoyed what we see, but at the same time, it was that first attempt at a performance from this new look lineup with their new players in there. Having a look at the damage though, Rusty. There was damage going for everyone because it was a 40-minute game.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of damage everywhere through the champions as well as the duration of the game. It's going to start to add up really quickly. And this, to me, was a game of small decisions. I think the Gale Force, for example, I think maybe teleport instead of cleanse mid could have been changed against an Ahri Nocturne. You might want the cleanse, especially with how many times he was getting picked. So I think there was little details that could have helped for Kanga a lot. But Direwolves, again, felt like they always had the better foot forward of the two.
Okay, well, I've got a youngster on the line who probably wants to get to bed because that game went for a little while. Danteh, are you there, mate? How you feeling after that big win?
Hello. Yeah, I'm feeling good. It definitely took a lot longer than it should have, but yeah, feeling good.
Okay, so I've got one question for you quickly. Sorry, Kitty.
No, it's okay.
How is it playing with Bulldawg down in that bot lane? Do you find you've got some great synergy going on between the two of you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, during matches, a very aggressive playstyle. Yeah, I like playing with him. He's a Chad as well.
Chad, Mighty Bull Chad, maybe that's his new name. But with your great performance on the Jhin 8-0 and 8, I believe it's picking up the first win for Jhin this split. So what do you think of Jhin in the current meta, and what do you think of the ADC meta overall?
I think Jhin, like, right now the ADC meta is pretty hyper carry focused, and I think Jhin is a good pick that, like, you can pick to kind of just facilitate for your team. Obviously you're not going to be like flashy 1v9ing, you know, but yeah, I think it's pretty solid.
Not too bad, not too bad. Now, do you have anything else? Look, we know the synergy was good there between you and Bulldawg, but does Bulldawg play a lot of Bard? We noticed he might have misplayed a couple of situations there.
Yeah, he's a pretty good Bard player. Honestly, I don't even know what happened that game. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it was a very long 40-minute game, so I am not too sure about the end you're talking about, but yeah, he's a good Bard player.
Yeah, certainly dragged out. Now, you guys, look, go enjoy that one. You got to get ready for tomorrow's game as well, so we're going to let you go and hit the hay. Thank you very much, Danteh.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, my friend, Danteh.
Such a
Coming
polite
out
young
of
fellow.
out of the NZ. Your region, right?
The Kiwi bot lanes, boys, love it. Putting us on the map, getting it done, missing a few magical journeys, but that's how long it takes to get from Australia to New Zealand.
Hey, look, that was just one time, all right? And look, we do have a Dare MVP as well. Rusty, you said you wanted it to go to Bulldawg, and unfortunately, it's not going to go to Bulldawg. It is going to go to the man that was just on your screen. It's big old Danteh down in the bot lane, the 17-year-old prodigy doing bloody work for Direwolves today. 9-0 and 11 with a 76% KP. That was a very good Jhin game, Kitty.
Can we appreciate the 10? Oh no, that's not Vision Wars. That's just normal wars. Okay, never mind. I'm
We'll
taking
appreciate
back
it
my
anyway.
point. Well, okay, we can appreciate
Double
it.
digits for an AD.
Double digits for someone that's not a support player. Pog. Anyways, Danteh being the young player out of Dials, this was a really good performance coming out of him. 9-0 and 11. Very solid overall.
It's always great to see an ADC going deathless as well. It is pretty hard. Usually you're high priority in those team fights, usually the target. But of course, Jhin, you've got that extra range as well. And with the relatively decent sort of front line going on for Direwolves, it made it pretty easy for Danteh.
That's 2 games in a row where the MVP's gone deathless as well. With like really, really big performances. And Yuri as well in the Galio. So it's just maybe we're seeing a trend today.
Maybe a trend, maybe indeed. But let's see if that trend continues into the final game of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more break to get through before that game. It is going to be Gravitas and Chiefs coming up just after this.
Sanctuary. I'll go golden, and now you're dead. The true passive of the Kog Maw. Can it get the kill? No, Danteh goes golden now. Look at Direwolves, all skirting on the outskirts of this fight, all so low, all going golden like they are the kings of this castle. And now a Lulu says, what can I do? Libs has gone so defensive. He's literally lifesteal. That is his middle name. He quick draws out of that Tempered Fate. The reset's there, but he's been rooted again into the charm and into his death, surely.
Hey, look, Menulog.
What can we expect from this game?
You can expect focus and retrospection, but mainly focus.
All the big words, all the mental hindsight. Fantastic. All right, Kudum, well, it looks like you've been focused. The coaching buff has been activated. We're going to crack on with this game, and I wish you boys the best of luck going forward.
Focus.
Well, that's first blood going to Chiefs.